Hello everybody, how are you? My name is Dawn and welcome to my channel, Fertility, Hope, and Healing. Today guys, we're going to discuss about fertility nutrition, what would be the best foods to optimize fertility when trying to conceive or having difficulty getting pregnant. This video is both for men and for women, but more specifically for women, we'll be going into a lot of food therapy, it's called Chinese food therapy. My background is in Chinese medicine, and a lot of my continuing education has been in the area of nutrition and fertility. So very passionate about explaining this to my patients whenever they first come and see me when they are having difficulties getting pregnant. But even when trying to conceive, it takes about, understand, 3 to 6 months for your body to prepare to get pregnant. I have another video I'm going to link below on fertility supplements. And the reason it takes so long to prepare to get pregnant, because it takes that long for your supplements alone to absorb all the nutrition that it needs to actually conceive. And same with food, 3 to 6 months is typically how long it takes. A lot of people don't take the time to prepare for pregnancy, but it's really, really important that you do so. So one of the first things that you want to do when you're considering nutrition and trying to conceive and making some changes for healthy habits is first and foremost to go organic. One of the reasons that it's so important is because this is my philosophy, is the reason we're having so many issues with fertility. And I've seen a trend, like when I used to be I've been doing this now for 15 years. When I first started, I would see people that would come to me that would be about 35 and above. Now I see people between the ages of 25 to 35, and I'm seeing even more male factor fertility issues than ever before. So it's really affecting the population from generation to generation. So one of the things that I believe that is causing the fertility crisis that we're having is the fact that our food is contaminated. It's not just the fertility crisis, the health crisis in America, and the fact that we just have so many chemicals that we're bombarded with, along with electrical and magnetic frequencies and radiation. And the chemicals are endocrine disruptors, and the food also is disrupting your hormones. It is making more stress on your body. I call them unconscious stressors, things that you're just not aware of. So it's really important to choose to go to organic. I have a video that I did last year on my other channel, Totally Transformed. I'm going to leave a link below on going organic. You don't have to do 100%, but the more you can do, you can pay attention with your fruits and vegetables to the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. These are lists of vegetables with the Dirty Dozen that have high residues of pesticides. One of the two fruits and vegetables I stay away from all the time is carrots and strawberries. I always buy that organic. I should say I stay away from conventionally. But if I'm at a party and there's strawberries and carrots, I'll partake in it. You know, you just want to kind of have balance with it. And, but yeah, and I don't know if they're on the Dirty Dozen, but they really are toxic. The other thing is to consider, if you know anyone that drinks coffee, typically when you're trying to get pregnant, you're going off of coffee, but you want to do organic with that. They don't pay attention to like wine, coffee, those types of things. But if you're trying to get pregnant, you know, you're not going to be doing that, but those things aren't listed on there. So the other thing too, to understand, the most important thing when going organic is to really pay attention to your meat. The meat, you can't wash off pesticides and hormones and antibiotics out of it and GMO. So if you can go organic, that'd be great. Find it on sale. There's certain meats that don't need to be organic, like lamb and beef. I'm sorry, not beef, buffalo. And, and I apologize if you hear my dog barking. We have some work being done in the house right now, and yeah, she's gonna bark a little bit. But they don't mess with those types of meats, but typically the biggest thing is chicken, eggs, and also beef. Yeah, those, and turkey, yeah. and pig, they mess with all those. So you wanted to consider doing more organic with that. And even I used to say, oh, I'm okay if it doesn't have hormones or antibiotics in there. What I'm finding out is that they're feeding the animals those things except for the last 6 months and then labeling it that. I'm not quite sure if that's correct, but don't stress out about it. The less toxic it is, the better, okay? So yeah, that's kind of how you can work it out with organic and saving some money. It is worth the little amounts that you can do. Being a part of a co-op will help. But again, refer to that video I have linked in the description below about going organic. That'll really help you out a lot when you first are starting to go organic. So the second thing to consider too when you're trying to optimize your fertility with nutrition is to eat whole food and plant-based. Now, what I mean by that is not necessarily going vegan or vegetarian. It's really eating less processed foods, and I would say this is really comparable to a really great lifestyle. When you're trying to get pregnant, you don't want to diet. When you're pregnant, of course, you don't want to diet. But a really good plan that is a really good lifestyle would be the Mediterranean diet. Consider, that. And the reason you want to do more whole food plant-based is because you need a lot of good nutrition and energy when you're trying to get pregnant. And meat, unfortunately, it overtaxes the digestive system, and in my opinion, we eat way too much of it here in America. So consider doing less meat. And so that's what the Mediterranean diet kind of teaches you. And I have quite a few patients that are getting on track with that, and they really love it. They don't even think it's a diet at all. They don't feel like they're, restricting themselves in any way, shape, or form. But making it a goal to have like a few meatless days a week is really good, and to eat more easily digestible proteins like fish and eggs. If you have an autoimmune disease, you may want to consider not doing eggs because I hear they feed viruses and bacteria. I'm not quite sure about that, but yeah, so just eating easily digestible foods. And why meat overtaxes the digestive system is that, fruits and vegetables take hours to digest. So like the most a day, depending on the amount of fiber, and I'm talking like fully digest. Nuts and seeds and grains take about 2 days, and some nuts may be longer depending on it, because some are harder to digest than others, or what form that you're eating them in. If you're like doing a nut butter, it's going to be more easily digestible. But meat takes up to 3 days. And of course, fish would take less, and maybe eggs too, but it takes about that long for it to digest. And the fats are really harsh on the liver. And yeah, we just eat way too much protein, and it really can stress out your body. But again, don't stress yourself out with, freaking out like, oh my gosh, I have to do more meatless Mondays. And, just take everything with a grain of salt with all this information and do the best you can. So I would say about where you're looking at, they say they want us to do 5 a day, 5 fruits, vegetables a day, and up to 2 fruits a day. I would say make it a goal to do about 6 to 8 servings a day. And one of the things I'm going to encourage you guys to do is to eat more fruit and to not fear fruit. There's a whole lot of fruit fear out there, and fruit is really, really good for you, and it's really good for fertility. In fact, there's this woman that's in my yoga class who said that she was struggling getting pregnant, and one of the things she had done differently was to eat more fruit, and she was able to get pregnant that way. And it made sense to me because fruit has a lot of high antioxidants, folic acid, folate. It has things in there that your baby needs, okay, and that you need in order to conceive. And fruit is very cleansing, and vegetables are healing. Both are healing, but it's really important for fruit to cleanse your body. In fact, a lot of times I put people on a cleansing diet prior to them getting pregnant. Just that helps balance their hormones a lot. And so fruit is really good for you. If you have a sweet tooth, eat more fruit. You'll notice your sweet tooth will go away. And eat as much fruit as you want. Even if you have PCOS and insulin resistance, believe it or not, fruit treats it. According to Chinese medicine, anything that's naturally sweet, for the most part, there's probably one exception would be bananas, they think is not so good, but they say it helps to treat the spleen and pancreas. It tonifies it. So like things like honey and dates, and you know, you would think that dates would be super sweet and overtax your pancreas, but the truth is it helps your blood sugars. It's very high in fiber, and fruit reacts very differently to sugar. So I personally have experienced eating more fruit and lowering my blood sugars this way. There are people that are fruitarians that treat their diabetes this way. Really crazy stuff. So not everything is as it seems, but I would just encourage you to eat as much fruit as you want. If you are a person who doesn't like vegetables, first eat a bunch of fruit as much as you like, and then just hide your vegetables within, you know, smoothies, or there's just all sorts of ways to hide vegetables and other things. So, okay, enough about fruit. But I really enjoy fruit and having a lot of it, and I feel a lot better when I eat a lot more fruit. Okay, so let's now go over some of the things you want to stay away from when you're trying to get pregnant. One of the main things I tell people to stay away from is soy products. Soy products disrupt your endocrine system. They increase specifically certain hormones that, you know, will just put you out of balance, okay? So estrogen will increase with soy products. The only exception would be fermented. The only exception I would say is to do organic miso soup. Other than that, stay away from soy. Soy is in everything. It's in your salad dressings. You need to look at the labels. This is why doing more whole food will be better for you. And yeah, they used to think soy was really healthy, but it's really not good for anyone, okay? Not much. And most of it's genetically modified, so stay away from soy. The other thing is stay away from the highly allergic foods like dairy, wheat, and sugar. So there are some exceptions with dairy. Dairy, you can do more fermented dairy. Some organic goat cheese would be okay. Even like Parmesan cheese is okay because they say there's not a lot of casein in it. But but really stay away from dairy and make sure it's organic, of course. Wheat, most people, you know, aren't necessarily gluten intolerant. They're more wheat sensitive. If you have celiac, obviously stay away from gluten, but yeah, you can, you know, do some gluten, but just, you know, like barley would be okay. And I like sprouted grain bread and products that are sprouted grain. Those would be fine. But you can do some gluten-free, you know, stuff too, and that's fine. But some of that stuff is just as bad as wheat. So you need to pay attention to the labels, what you're doing. Sugar obviously is one thing to stay away from. Sugar will disrupt your endocrine system. It impacts the pancreas, which is an endocrine organ. So understand that it actually lowers progesterone. So be careful about your sugar intake. It's in everything, I know. So it's so frustrating. All right, so now let's go into some of the specific fertility foods that will optimize your fertility. And the number one thing I would say is one of the things I see a lot of my patients is that they're not absorbing their nutrition. There's many factors that are related to that, but because of that, a lot of them are blood deficient. They're either blood deficient or blood stagnant or both, okay? And so what would treat all of that is anything red is good for the blood, all right? So what is really good would be beets. Beets are really good. If you don't like beets, like me, I don't like them at all. Well, I shouldn't say it all. I'll eat them every so often. But there's an organic powder, beet powder that you can get. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at natural food stores, or vitamin shops. Some of them have it. So you can put that in water and drink it. You can stick it in your smoothies. You can put it in juice, like pomegranate juice is a really good fertility food. Again, just watch the sugar intake with that because it's more concentrated. I would cut it with water, but you can add the beet powder to that. But yeah, anything red is good for the blood, including bone broths. Bone broths like beef broth would be really blood enriching and be considered a red food. But What I would do is just make vegetable soups with these broths. You can drink these broths every single day. There's no reason you can't do that. Just watch eating the beef. It might be too harsh on the digestive system. But like I said, you can, I would personally, to save money on the broths, you don't need to make your own. You don't need to buy it either. You can actually cheat by going and getting organic beef broth and mixing it with organic gelatin, or yeah, and do it that way. Or collagen, organic collagen, you could do the same thing. And a good recipe would be to add some carrots and celery, onion, garlic, and ginger to that, and drink it up to twice a day. That is a really good recipe. So that will help your fertility, and I've had patients had success with that along with the herbs. The thing that's good for you also would be avocado and pears. Avocado and pears, they look like the uterus, and therefore they're really good for fertility. The other thing that's really good for the vaginal area is pineapple. Pineapple is anti-inflammatory. It has something in there called bromelain that will reduce inflammation. The core is said to be really good for vaginal health. A lot of women, it's an old wives' tale to use that when they're trying to get pregnant. For both men and women, cruciferous vegetables are really good. Specifically for men, I would say Brussels sprouts or cabbage, but things like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, all those are really good for fertility. So eat your cruciferous vegetables. For men, sunflower seeds would be good because they're high in zinc. Any foods that are high in zinc, you know, like oysters are good, but make sure they're cooked is better for you. Sprouts, all sprouts are really good for men. But that other thing is a superfood called maca is really good for men. It increases sperm count. So that is basically it for fertility nutrition. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell so you won't miss a video. And guys, blessings on you as you try for your family and getting pregnant. All right, guys, and I'll see you next time. Love and blessings.